Going to do a video here on installing recessed can in the ceiling here. Actually, I'm adding can. We already have a few recessed cans in this room, and I'm going to be adding one. Actually, there's one out here over this closet right now. There's an existing one, and I'm going to put one up above, even with this light, same distance off the wall from that light, and even with this mirror here. Just want to get some more light in the corner of the room over here. So what I have here is 6-inch can got from Home Depot. This is their pretty generic brand, or I guess name brand, commercial electric 6-inch can, and I got a trim baffle, recessed trim piece here. Push it out here. One hand. Trim piece here, 6-inch. Go along with that. Tried to match up what we had here. These are like from the late 80s. These cans here. It's so much light, it's hard to see. The trim doesn't look exactly the same, but it's as close as I could get. There's no way I'm going to find the exact same thing, but just basically wanted a white ring with black interior. Let's see. Got these at Home Depot. Looks like the trim was basically almost $10. Actually, the housing was $6.65. Pretty cheap for something like that. I don't think you can do much better than that. So cheap enough just to be able to add some light. I think an LED light's going to be more expensive than the housing. So anyway, basically the plan here is to get it even with this light, about the same distance off the wall. I'll measure off the wall, I'll mark over here, try to center it, I guess, over the door. So as far as going this way, centered over the door, and then going this way, same distance. I'll put a mark up there, and then I'll draw a circle. I'll actually use the can to draw a circle up there, and then use my saw, cut the hole out. First thing I'll do is, before I start cutting, go up in the attic and make sure that I'm not going to hit anything that I don't want to hit up there. It should be right in between a couple of joists there. I know the joists run this way, so I'm sure it's in between the joists just the same as this. I just want to make sure there's nothing coming this way. My scuttle access to the attic's right here, so definitely don't have to go far from when I go up there. As far as tools, let's see, I know what I'm going to need. I've done this a few times before. Of course, I need my tape measure. Measure off where I'm going to mark and cut. Here's the saw I'm going to use. I guess I call that like a jab saw or keyhole saw. Hammer, the electrical part of it, I'll be stapling in the wire, probably just maybe one staple at one end and one at the other. I'm going to tie right into that light, of course. I want it to be switched off the same switch, so electrically I'm just going to tie right into that light. I got some wire nuts, although I assume I'll just be use the same wire nuts that are in that light. Just standard electrical stuff, cutters. The needle nose are always useful for bending wire. I don't think I need much more than that. Got my Sharpie here too, yeah, so I can mark and then cut, mark the circle and then cut. And actually I'll use a pick, a little pick, to once I mark where I want the light, and roughly I'll go up in the attic first, roughly verify where I want it, and then once I make sure there's nothing in the way, I'll stick the pick up through to see exactly where I'm coming through, just to kind of double verify that I'm not going to go into anything. That's it. And just realized one thing I don't have is my piece of wire. Looks like maybe I'll need about a 6-foot piece of Romex, maybe a little bit longer, to tie from one to the other. I think that's about it. I think I got just about everything else, so I'll go get that in a little while. Okay, up in the attic here. Here's the existing light. Sorry if you can't hear me that well, I got a respirator on. Don't really want to breathe in fiberglass. Doesn't really feel good in my lungs. So here's the existing light. And I determined that the new light has to go down about 6 feet from that. So I'll take my tape and I'll measure and see what's there. I'll just measure. I'm not going to record that because I can't really do both at the same time. So we'll see what's there. Okay, I measured 6 feet down from the other light. Can't really see it, but it's right about there. Measured 6 feet down, and that puts me right about here. And nothing really here. There's a couple wires there. I don't think I'm going to be too close to that. And end up being right in this area. But I'll know exactly where I'm going to be once I punch the pick through here. So I'll do that next, and I'll take a look up here and see where it comes through. Okay, so I'm going to measure distance off this wall. So looks like I'm going to say that's best I can tell 19 1/4 inches off that wall. Looks like the center of that light. I'm going to go with 19 1/4 off the wall. So grab my Sharpie here. Come over to the door. Okay, so I got a mark on the ceiling there now. Exactly 19 1/4 inches off the wall. Same as that light. And all I did was guess where the center is. Take them off a little bit. What I'll do is measure that, find the center point, and do my best to line it up there, and then I'll have my distance off the wall, and I'll have my distance, going the other way, and I'll have a cross point on where my center of the fixture is going to be. Okay, so I measured the door frame there, or the trim, and it was 37 inches, so cut that in half, 18 1/2 inches, and I just kind of eyeballed, went 18 1/2 in, and tried to draw a square straight line straight up to meet where I had come across there, and you can see my first guess was off a little bit, but that's going to end up being part of the hole I cut out anyway. These Harbor Freight tape measures are nice. They measure good and work well, but anytime you have to hold the tape out a long distance, they're a pain. They flop all over the place. It's time to invest in a real freaking tape measure that stays still when you extend it out. This thing just flops all over the place when you extend it out, but if you hold it perfectly straight, it's good, but as soon as you turn it, it just wants to flop over. So anyway, so that's my center point. That's my crosshairs right there. That's going to be the center of my fixture. So next thing I'll do then, as I was explaining, here I'll take my pick and center it right there and just push it up through. Looks like it'll basically stay there for me, which is nice. You know, just kind of pushed it through the drywall. So I'll go up there and see where it pokes through, make sure we're still good, and then I know that I can safely cut my hole. Okay, you can see the pick coming through, and at this point the only concern would be is I'm too close to the joist. You know, the fixture needs some, the can needs some clearance away from the joist, but it looks like it needs at least 4 inches, and looks like I'm about between 4 1/4 4 1/2, so I'm fine there. So now I know I can safely go ahead and cut my hole. Looks like I'll end up probably cutting right along this seam, but that shouldn't matter at all. So that's the next step. Draw my circle and cut. Okay, so as I was showing you there, I needed to make sure that I at least had clearance away from the joist. You can see here I got this at the center, and then actually it looks like you can get away with, I mean, 4 inches is plenty. You could probably get away with a little bit less, so I'm fine there. This is going to nail into the joist, so I'll be clear of it. The one thing, and I think I've done this before, these things, I don't know why they do this. I guess these are designed for new construction. So if you were putting the cans up before you even put the ceiling board up, sheetrock, but in my case, obviously the ceiling's already there. So what I'm going to do is, this is going to be a pain to try to get under between the joist and the ceiling. I mean, obviously the drywall's screwed right into the joist, and these things are just going to be a pain. So what I'm going to do is end up just bending this back the other way. I mean, this is going to sit flush here with the top of the drywall. It's not like this is necessary that this goes underneath. So I'm just going to bend this back, and then I'll still be able to nail this into the joists to secure it in, but that's what I'll do now. So I got these all bent back now. You can see they won't be in the way now that I'm not, you know, I don't need to try to get these underneath the joists. I actually bent them all back, so that's good. Now what I'll do is take out the can and center the can up there. I'll show you how I'll do that. I'll put some marks where the edge is supposed to be, and then I'll trace around it. I'll show you that next. There's just 3 screws holding this can into here. So if you measure this, looks like the diameter of this is roughly 6.5 inches, just under. So if I cut a 6.5 inch hole, I'll be good. So what I'm going to do is, half of 6.5 is 3 1/4. So what I'll do is measure 3 1/4 out in 4 different, put 4 points 3.5 inches out, and then I'll line the can up with there, not the can, the frame. I'll line the frame up with that, and then I'll have I'll know where to put the can up there to trace around. So what I did was I measured out 3¼ inch, since the diameter of the fixture, the can fixture, is 6½. Measured out 3¼ 4 different directions, put a mark, and now I should be able to hold the fixture up there and trace around it and make a circle, and the center should be right where my where I want my center, right where the mark is, up there, crosshairs. Okay, so I got my circle drawn now, so I know exactly where to cut. As I was saying, all I did was I took the fixture, the frame here of the fixture, I held it up to the ceiling until I basically had all 4 of those points lined up with the edge, which basically forces this to be centered right where I want my center. And then I traced, actually you can see part of my Sharpie line in there too. So that's where I'm going to cut. Okay, got my hole cut, and my first cut was a little small, you know, because I traced on the inside. I tried staying to the outside of the line, but obviously that's not big enough. You really need to go to the outside, you know, plus, well, the sheet metal is thin, but then there's this little air seal around here, so you need to kind of account for that. So I had to cut it out a little bit bigger, but anyway, it fits in there perfectly now. So now at least I know when I go up there to drop it in, I'm not going to have to come down and cut it again, save me a trip back up there. So I know it'll fit when I go up there. So that's next step now. I'll put this back together and secure it in. Then the electrical after that. Okay, so now I got my wire. Little tip here, save you some back aching. You can pre-wire. This, the new can, before you head up to the attic here, and then you can cut how much you think you need. I mean, you want to go a little bit over what you think you need. So I know I'm about 6 feet apart here. I'm gonna cut about 8 foot of wire off here. There's 8 there. But this, they provide these little quick connects on the new fixture. I think they're good for 14 gauge or 16 gauge. I got some 14 gauge Romex. Here I determined the lights are on a 15 amp breaker, so 14 gauge is okay for that. If it was on a 20 amp breaker, I would have to use 12 gauge. It's just the way it works. It's all code. Here I'm going to have the light up there like this. So, and I know the closest joist is actually over here. I'm going to pop this neck out of there. So, real simple electrical connections here. Just match your colors, neutrals, white. Just put that in there. Let's put the one closest to the existing one. That's it. You can see these are really nice. You can see when the wire's in there and grabs on good. Green is ground. And black is hot. Okay, they're in there. Now this was much easier doing this down here. Good lighting and all. And being able to just sit down rather than up in the attic. Gotta be careful about punching your foot through, punching a hole through the ceiling. So these just get down in there, and then that just slides right in there like that. That's it. It's just all tucked away. Make sure you don't pinch any wires or anything. Snap that closed. Now I can bring this up there with this already pre-wired. Okay, here's what I got up here. Everything here is tied in to kind of a similar box. They don't give you those quick slide-in things. I'm gonna have to pop out one of these half-inch knockouts. Here, I can do this one now. Oops. There you go. Just pops out. And then what you need is a half-inch Romex connector. I have one of those. I'll show you what that looks like. But I can put that on and prep the wire ahead of time. Looks like I can leave about 5 inches, 5 or 6 inches of wire exposed and tie everything in. I'll need bigger wire nuts too. I think these oranges are good for 2 14s. I'm going to have 3 14s now tied together in there. So I'll get the red wire nuts. And of course I'll kill the power before I do this too. Okay. So this is the Romex box connector I was referring to. Pretty standard electrical stuff here. Wire gets clamped into here, and then this locks into that hole in the box. So I can do everything down here on the other end. I can prep this. Prep this wire now. I have about 6 inches wire here. And then that needs to come off. I'll bring that up there with me. Basically, this slides into here. I'm trying to get that through there now. Now these wires just, actually I could have even put that on first. Probably should have. That slides in there. And then Phillips head right here. This just basically clamps down. These connectors, 14 is the smallest you want to use for this style. So now that holds that. This will lock that into the box, and then I'll just nut everything together. Actually, for now, just so I don't lose that, I'll spin that on there. And now I'm ready to bring this up. I'll drop this into my hole up there. I'll go like this. Wait, no. It will go like this up there. And I'll secure it in with the nails, and then I'll tie it into that end. So you want to make sure you got your power turned off first before you work with anything electrical. Okay, so I got a fixture in here. I didn't really film it because it's just too damn awkward and hot, and not really possible or feasible for me to film up here, but anyway, there's my, get up here a little better. Here's my wire right here coming in. I stapled it down right here, and I stapled it close to the other fixture, which is down there. I put my insulation back over it, so that's in. Like I said, had to use that box connector right there, so it goes in, and I just wire nutted everything in. So that's tied in now. Basically, when I turn on the switch now, it should apply power to that new fixture. I'm just gonna put the insulation back on top of this fixture the way it was, or to the best of my ability anyway. Okay, that's how that was. It was buried in there, and now everything's buried again. So now I just gotta put the trim ring on that light down there, and it's all set. Okay, there it is. And it was good to test it out first with a light before you put the trim plate on it. Just make sure it works. You don't have to take the trim plate off if there's some kind of problem. And looks good to me. I'm going to drop these springs inside so that you can hook them on first. Otherwise there's no way you can reach them. Oh, they'll get stuck. You can raise and lower this too, actually. That's something you want to do to loosen up this wing nut here. Should slide down. There we go. Just a little bit. That should be good. And then these springs I now go into little holes on the actual light bracket itself. They won't fit into the sides. There you go. So trying to see how much spring. It's enough to hold it. Good. Turn it. That's why I get it to the side. Small part of the hole in there. Basically, just hook those springs in there. Screw your bulb in. That's it. So that's it. There's the install of my extra 6-inch recessed light. It's on this switch. I think just these two lights are on this switch. We got the rest of the room on this switch. But now we got some more light in the corner here. So that's it. Looks like it's lined up good. Okay. Hope this helps someone. See you later.